Welcome back to AgriTalk OnLine. Bonus coverage from the Farm Progress Show in Boone, Iowa. Very happy to have with us Tom Buis from Growth Energy. Good to see you. Wow, I wish we had more positive things to talk about, but these are still very challenging times for the ethanol industry and some critical times for the future of the industry.
Oh, it is a critical time for not just the industry, but for America and reducing our dependence on foreign oil. For rural America, I mean, if you want to look at what boosts farm income, that increased use of ethanol, and we know we can do more, and it translates throughout the whole economy.
Let's focus in on the still awaited EPA decision on E15. Are you getting any indications? Because now there are those now pushing, we need more reviews, we need more studies, and they're trying to obviously muddy the waters, delay things even more. What do you think is going to happen?
I think EPA is going to make the decision and they've indicated this, 2 different schedules. One in September, they're going to make the decision based on the testing of 07 and newer cars. I have heard from no one that there's any negativity in any of these tests. In fact, I think that's why you're seeing the critics out there. They are assuming that EPA is going to grant the waiver, and they're doing everything they can to delay or stall, and they're asking for more tests that would last well into next year. There's been more testing done on E15 by the federal government than they've ever done on the blowout protectors in the Gulf of Mexico. Make the decision. All the data is there, and then I think EPA is going to move forward with a rulemaking process on how you implement it, whether it's labeling, all the other issues, fuel certification, health effects, 1 pound waiver, all have to be done. And then in November, they make the decision on the 01 and newer cars. Ironically, EPA is not testing anything below E15, but they are testing or DOE, they are testing for E20. And if those tests are positive, I'm sure you'll see the industry move to even higher blend. Because we know we can do it. We know the sky's not going to fall, and we know that it's good for all vehicles.
How concerned are you if we have, certain model years that can, and we have to get to labeling? And are you concerned about confusion in the marketplace that might actually turn motorists away from or create doubt in the retailers' minds about even offering the higher blend?
Well, I think from the retailer's perspective, they're going to follow the market economics. And if it's cheaper to put E15 in there and they can make more money, they will. From the motorist standpoint, we've the EPA and the federal government have had several fuel changes in the course of history. The sky didn't fall. Are you going to have rough spots? Sure. Would we prefer that it's for all vehicles, including lawnmowers and weed eaters and everything? Absolutely. But we'll have to live without every decision, and we have to make it work. And I think we can make it work. It took from 1978 till today to get E10 saturation. Because, again, it's voluntary. We're going to have to market it, and we're going to have to be smart about marketing. But we can do it. Ultimately, though, and Mike, you and I have talked about this for years, what we need more than anything, and the biggest challenge we face, is not having flex fuel vehicles produced for every vehicle in America, just like they're doing in Brazil, and blender pumps nationwide. If we do that, we no longer have to worry about this waiver process, and we still have time. Congress, Senator Reid, Majority Leader today, announced that he's going to bring up energy legislation in the lame duck. He also announced that he was going to add a renewable electricity standard because the wind industry has been advocating. So there's plenty of time to get this done, and we think we can. We got to get that infrastructure done.
From what I've heard, there's not that much expense to making a vehicle flex fuel. So I've really never heard a good reason why we don't just make them all flex fuel.
Well, there are no good reasons. There's a lot of made-up reasons, and people want to use them as excuses. But, it's either this month or next month is the 50th anniversary of the creation of OPEC. We've been literally held over a barrel of foreign oil by a cartel in that entire 50 years. We have to move forward. We need to quit listening to the excuses. And there's all this army of can'ts, not ants, but can'ts. We need that can-do attitude. We know we can do it. We know it's good for our economy. We know it's good for our security. We know it's better for the environment. And we know it's great for farmers. Let's do it.
And here's, to me, another irony about all this. Americans like choices. They like options. That's what we're trying to offer them here. With a blender pump, you pick the amount of ethanol. With a flex fuel vehicle, you don't have to use E85 or a higher blend, but you have the option. I think if more people realize that, I think more would say, hey, that's a good idea. Let's do it.
Oh, and it's the perfect solution to those people that don't want to put ethanol in their weed eater. You know, they don't have to. Let's move forward and give that consumer the choice.
Let's talk about the tax incentives for ethanol set to expire at the end of this year. I know Growth Energy, you've come up with some proposals and things that are being looked at. In fact, Senator Chambliss, talking to us earlier this week, mentioned the very things that you have proposed. So they're looking at that. What do you think is going to happen, and can we avoid what's happened to the biodiesel industry?
Well, avoiding what happened in biodiesel is a much bigger picture than the stuff that we're advocating, because that's wrapped up in big picture politics. And you saw what happened with biodiesel tax credit extension, and it's not controversial. Our proposals are controversial. We got a line as long from here to Washington lined up, criticizes every day. So we have to be smart about what we do and how we do it. The big picture politics will have to sort out itself before anything moves forward. But what we're preparing for is, let's have a plan for both long-term energy legislation. Let's have a plan for energy tax legislation, and let's play out those options the best thing for the industry. We're for extending the tax credits for as far and as high as we can get them. What we suggested was taking a portion of them and shifting that into incentives for blender pumps. So in 5 years, we have the infrastructure built out that we give that consumer that choice. We don't care how it's paid for, the infrastructure. They could pay for it with bottle caps or pick up tin cans along the road. We don't care. It needs to be done. Everyone says, Brazil did it. Why can't we? That's how they did it. They have 95% of their cars are flex fuel vehicle. They're sold. And every gas station has both alcohol and gasoline required by law at their station.
But with the inactivity of Congress on a number of things, and in an election year, how concerned are you that they could just let the tax incentives lapse without anything to take their place?
Oh, really concerned. And we've been concerned about this watching biodiesel for the past year. It's non-controversial and didn't get extended. Well, they have a budget deficit problem. So everything that gets extended, you have to have an offset. Either you pay for it by cutting other federal programs or raise taxes, which is impossible in an election year. That's why we suggested maybe a better justification for keeping it going. Start to be creative, not just stay where we are, because, you know, a lot of people will tell you, if you always ask what you always ask for, that's what you're going to get.
I'm still constantly amazed when I see editorials, I hear people on the radio or TV say, the ethanol industry shouldn't get any tax incentives. They ought to be able to stand on their own. They ought to be able to make it on their own. Why should we be helping out this industry? And at the same time, no one seems to ask those questions about the oil industry.
Oh, absolutely not. And their tax programs don't expire. There's no sunset for all their tax credits. But, you know, Mike, I've found out a long time ago in Washington, hypocrisy is not a sin. It's a fine art. And people will look at other people's programs and benefits and call them a subsidy. They look at theirs as a necessity. And it just depends on which set of eyes you look through.
So those are the challenges we face, and still a lot to happen here between now and the end of the year.
Absolutely. But you know what? I'm positive. I'm optimistic. We're going to do it. It's a matter of finding the time. We've got some challenges, but we got huge opportunities, not just for our industry, but for all of America.
And it's great to see Growth Energy and POA and others getting those messages out in front of a lot of people about the advantages and the benefits of ethanol. You're really, I think, getting that message across.
Well, a lot of people don't get the positives of ethanol. All they're hearing is all the chatter and the negativity. But when they hear the other side, the real facts, they go, oh, wow, that's good. Yeah.
Good to see you as always, my friend. Thanks a lot. Tom Buis with Growth Energy. All right, we'll take a break, come back, wrap things up here on AgriTalk OnLine from the Farm Progress Show in Boone, Iowa.